Today we're going to do a little bit of view projection in DraftSight. This is a 2D view of an object that's machined. It's a solid machine from a solid block, and as you can see, it's got rectangles and holes. And the way I have my dimension style set up is I have what I style that I created called ANSI 1. It's like an ANSI type dimension style, and what I've got in the linear dimensions is a precision of 3 decimal points, and I'm using a period here. This is United States, so I use a period. Some countries use a comma, and you can change it if you want to a comma here. Scale factor of 1, and also in dimension style, I have drawing settings, unit system. I've got it set up. You have to set up both of these. That's all right. So the precision is set to 3 decimal points here, and my block unit format is in inches. You can go to different types of format. I don't know if they have furlongs in here, but there's a lot of them that are available here, and I'm using inches. And for decimal degrees, I use for degrees type systems, I use the decimal degree with a precision of 0, so 1 decimal point. Okay, and I've created this drawing with dimensions, and we can assume all the regular things like all corners are 90 degrees. If we were doing a regular drawing, that information would be in the legend and then the title block. But for right now, for our projection, we don't need the dimensions. I'm just leaving it up there so that you can create your drawing. You can freeze the video and create your own drawing that looks like this. So what I want to do is format layer, and I have a layer for my dimensions that I created called dims, and I just want to freeze that layer. Let's say OK, and all of my dimensions disappear. This will allow us to do this projection. And the other thing I want to do is change my line style to a different type. I'm going to go ahead and load, and I want the line style to be dashed for right now, so that we can just tell the difference. I'm going to select that and say OK. So in order to do a projection, looking at this from the top view, you can't really tell a whole lot from the front view. So it's real easy to create this projection by selecting a line, going to the end of that line, and just pick an arbitrary distance there that seems far enough away, and I'm going to go about close to the x-axis here, and then up. This is just arbitrary. So I'm going to draw that line, hit enter, and then I'm going to repeat the line from that endpoint down to that endpoint. We're using our E-track and E-snap. Hit enter and repeat line. We'll go from that corner down, same distance, and so on and so forth. So everything that's on the lower side of our top drawing, we're going to project a line. And we want to put a line from the center of these holes. Since they're symmetric, we're just going to create. If they weren't symmetric, you'd have to do each circle, but in this case, not necessary. Now there's other ways you could do this. I could just do a mirror of this. It would be quicker, but I'm going one by one just to show you that this is the reason we're doing this, is so that we can project these objects down to the other front view. So I'm going to go from there, enter. Okay, we've got everything we need to start our projection. So I'm going to change the line type, line style, back to continuous, and first of all, I'm going to create a line of the lowest unit and go to there, and then go down to whatever the thickness of that plate, that bottom plate is, and I'm just going to pick 1 inch. I'm going to enter a 1 down at the bottom. If you watch down in the lower left, you'll see a 1 appear, and I'll hit enter because it will, in the direction that I've got it, the E-track is on and the E-snap is on. So if I hit 1, it'll go 1 inch in that direction. So now I want to go even with that line using my E-snap, and then there's a nice little feature. It's like AutoCAD. If you hit C, it closes that box. Okay, so now we have our 1 inch bottom slab, and again, arbitrary. This is an arbitrary piece. It doesn't really exist, but we're doing what we would normally call a projection here. So I'm going to make this top portion 2 inches tall, and since this is where it lines up, so let's start at the end point of this and go in that direction. I'm entering a 2 down below and hitting enter, and then I'm going to this line, which lines up with the top portion, and then just closing it there. Okay, one of the things that helps an awful lot, you notice I went to the center of the circles. One thing you can do, and it's what I recommend doing, is going from the edges of the circle So let's just get rid of these lines. They're not helping us really. So I'm going to change the line style back to -2. And we can now delete this line. And we can delete this line. And we can delete this line. And also that line. So now we have our projection there. But we don't have our holes going through. So I'm on -2 line style. So when you cut through a piece, you want it to be a dash to show that it's not on the external. So I'm going to show my holes through this piece with a dashed line. And the way to do that is go up here and go to this quadrant point. And then I don't know if you remember the dimensions that I put, but I said through. So I'm going all the way through this block. Hit enter. Repeat the line. Go up to that quadrant point there. Go all the way down to here till it's perpendicular. Hit enter. Repeat the line. Same here, quadrant point. And this one also is through, so we're going to go all the way down to here. Perpendicular. Enter. And as I said, you can, if you know this is a symmetrical piece, you can do a mirror. So I'm going to do a mirror. And I'm going to select that, and that, and also that. And the mirror line is the middle of that. And just line up on my E-snap, and the default is no, so I'm going to just hit enter. And there's my lines. So then what we can do is just trim those lines. And that is over here someplace. And this is the cutting edge. And I'm going to hit right click for enter. The only ones I'm going to do is the outside lines right now. Right click, enter, right click, repeat trim. That's the cutting edge for these. Trim, trim, enter. Okay, now we have our cut through lines for our holes, and now we have our shape for our projection. Now this scale on this dash line is really, really small. And I'm wondering if it actually changed it to dash line. So let's select all of these lines and go properties. And let's see. So it didn't change our line style on those. So let's just change it to -2. There we go. So we have our dash lines for our holes built into there. And that simply is how we do a projection. Now, you would normally, if you're machining this, you might not want to go with a sharp corner here. And in that case, you could put a radius. But before you can put a radius with DraftSight or AutoCAD, you have to, this line has to intersect with this line and only the endpoint. So this is a continuous line. You have to break it up. So let's type in trim again. And I want the cutting edges to be here and also here. Right click or enter. And then I want to select this line, enter. And then I want to put the third line. For all intents and purposes, that looked like one solid line going across. And now we can put our fillet on there, or fillet, as some might call it. And what I want to do is I want to set the radius first. So I'm going to type an R for radius. And I want the radius to be 0.125. Pretty big radius. And now let's select this line and this line. And this line, and no, we need to repeat it. This line and this line. And now, if we type extend or select it over in the right menu, I'm one who types a lot. So it wants the bounding edges, but I'm just going to right click. Right click too many times. And what it's going to do, it's going to select whatever's closest on that end, and then whatever is closest on that end. So now we've extended our center line back to intersect with the other line. So now we have our fillet in there. And also, this hole, you could put a chamfer here. And then what you want to do is extend that and add another circle up here that's 1/16 or 1/8, whatever size chamfer you put. But right now we're going to just leave off the chamfer. And we're going to call this good. You can add your center line through your holes. So just add center lines through your holes in between those dash lines and one in the center. And then you put your dimensions here. So what I want to do is change this over to I want to turn my dimensions back on by unfreezing it. And if you click here, you see this arrow here that says we're on layer 0. I want to go to make dims my current layer. When I say OK, all of the dimensions will appear again. And so what we need for dimensions here is this dimension. We'll need a dimension on this radius that we put. We'll need a dimension on this height from here to here. And that's about it. So let's go ahead and put a linear dimension from here to here. And then let's repeat that. There to there. and we're done. You have the missing dimensions from this top projection to this side projection. And the only thing missing was the heights of your plates. Thank you for watching, and I hope this is helpful. It's kind of intermediate. So if you like it, give me a thumbs up and leave me comments if you'd like to see something else. So keep doing everyday things. This is Tony signing out. See you next time.